Berge.
Here.
McCall. Shear.
Here.
McKellar. Warren.
Here.
And Fisher.
Here, welcome to the monthly meeting of the Traverse Bay Area Intermediate School Board. We're going to begin the process tonight with a Pledge of Allegiance. If you would all stand and face the flag. Go ahead, Mike.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need a motion to approve the agenda, please.
Move that the agenda be approved.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, same. Consent grouping, the first thing would be the minutes from the regular meeting on February 4, 2014. Any additions, corrections, or comments? Likewise, for the closed meeting minutes also of February 4, 2014. Stephanie, go ahead.
Okay. We have the monthly accounts check payable listing before you, and it's for the month ending February 28th. Checks numbered 157,905 through 158,213, and the month for the month is $2,497,083.21. We'll move on to the revenue and expenditure report. Again, this is for the month ending February 28th. General education, we have revenues total collected at 70%, expenditures at roughly 72%. Within special education, we are at 67% collected and 61% expended. And finally, within the vocational education budget, we are at 86% collected and 58% expended.
Any questions of Stephanie with respect to the financial report? If not, go ahead, Stephanie, with the personnel.
Okay, we have 4 new employees for your consideration. William Sparks, new teacher assistant. Benjamin Papes, accountant. Grant Wright, computer technician. And Deborah Lannon, teacher assistant. We have 2 employee resignations. That would be Dave Clinton. He is retiring after 37 years, and Lynn Bauman retiring after 25 years. Should I go on to out-of-state travel?
Any questions so far, board members? Yes, continue.
Okay, we have a few for your consideration. Tom Wessels, instructional services specialist, would like to attend the physics program field trip with students and teachers throughout the region, May 18 through 20 in Chicago, Illinois. Deb Netto, our migrant director/teacher, would like to attend the Math Matters Conference, April 9 and 10 in San Antonio, Texas. Travel expenses will be paid by the Department of Education. Doug Anger, within our technology department, would like to attend the PSUG Midwest Conference. It's for Power School users, and that's March 25th through 27th in Michigan City, Indiana. Terry Sheldon, our IB coordinator, would like to take a group of teachers from our participating school districts to IB training, and that would be April 11 through 13 in Phoenix, Arizona. This was previously scheduled and approved by the board. It was to be held in Savannah, Georgia, but due to the weather in Atlanta, they canceled. The next one is the literacy department would like to attend the Marzano Academy Common Core and Assessment meeting, and that would be April 29 through May 1st in Glendale, Arizona. And finally, MTA instructors Holly Ann McHugh, Deb Oliver, Tim Wheatley, Deb Manchaka, and Karen Shosky would like to attend the National Robotics Challenge with an estimated 40 students from April 10th through 14th in Marion, Ohio.
No request for a board member to go to either one of the Arizona? No?
Observers?
I guess not. Any questions with respect to out-of-state travel? I need a motion to approve the consent grouping.
Make the motion.
Thank you.
A second.
Any discussion on the motion? Go ahead.
Berge,
Aye.
Shear,
Yes.
Warren,
Yes.
and Fisher.
Yes. Go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. Tonight, we make history by saying the pledge, and unfortunately, I apologize to our staff. This is our first night of trying to pilot videotape our board meetings for our community. And if I would have known that we were having a large crowd to make history, we would have been in the other room because we had our equipment set up since this afternoon. So as we go forward in the months ahead, if we have consistency like this, and it's a good thing, we certainly can move the meeting into Conference A and B or another venue. I want to thank Jason and Doug on the camera, and Renee, Heather Jewell for making this happen for our board meetings. This is the first ever, and it's very exciting. So thank you for making this happen. We hope to have this be in the future a discussion for our film and new media program, one of our 23 programs at our Career Tech Center, and have the students involved at a high degree with this videotaping. So that's sort of the direction that we're hoping to go to, and have it be a student project. So it's very exciting. We have 4 board members here. Unfortunately, 1 is home ill, left work early, and 2 are out of state. So thank you to the board members that were able to make it in today for this important meeting. I promised I would only mention the word weather once. It seems to be a very popular topic, a conversation starter, and it's what they say an old-fashioned winter, but we are up to 11 snow days. And that's a record, I know, for what I can remember in the last 25 years being in the region. So right now, our targeted, without note of any waiver, and you know the State Department of Education came out and recommended that school districts extend their calendar for the benefit of student achievement. We're not expecting a waiver from the governor or the State Department of Education, so that puts our last day for TBAISD at Wednesday, June 18th. So we're getting into that rub that we know of the summer, and I know as a father of a daughter that wants to get out and get to work as a 17-year-old to begin her summer, that will become a challenge. So hopefully our fingers are crossed as we head into March, and we're in March, that the weather will improve. That's the second time I said that, I apologize. March is reading month, and we continue to emphasize and promote literacy. We know the research, and we are partnering with the Read Aloud program, as we did last year, to encourage parents to read to their children every day, every child, for 15 minutes a day. So we will continue to encourage our community and recognize the importance of reading and literacy. So that's a cool thing for the month of March that we celebrate. Let's move on to state budget and a little bit of legislation. The governor did release his budget in late January. We talked about it last month. The first thing is, unfortunately, within his budget proposal, there's no increase to what is our state funding for TBAISD. It's called Section 81. So we are concerned about that, and we'll continue as the budget goes through the process here
to lobby, communicate with senators and representatives and our governor's office regarding the important work that ISDs do throughout the state. We're being asked to do more, provide more service for our local districts, as you'll hear tonight within tech services, what we're doing for our locals. So it certainly would be nice to see some form of increase to state funding. Also, just this morning in further discussions regarding early childhood funding, the governor did propose another $65 million increase to Great Start Readiness Program funding. That was welcomed, and we were very excited about that. This is at-risk support for four-year-olds that are at risk, and we have about $2.8 million throughout the region that goes out to our locals to support at-risk programs for four-year-olds. The $65 million for this region that the governor proposed would create 300 more slots for four-year-olds. And we do know, everyone knows the research. If you don't, we've talked about it a lot, that we know that 4 in 10 of our kindergartners are not prepared based on our kindergarten roundup assessment that we use. So we're trying to get that up to 100% truly, and we'll do whatever we can. Strategic plan. In front of you, you have a copy of page 1. It's of our Check It Out. And this is where we are regarding this exciting work, guiding us into the next 5 years. This was shared with staff and stakeholders in our Check It Out, which went out last Friday. We went out and throughout this year, we've been getting input from a variety of stakeholders, including our staff, business partners, superintendents, principals, staff members in local districts, community members, parents, had an online survey. And when we got all of that work and spent some time filtering that down, we came up with 11 targets. It was hard to get to 11 targets with all the input that we had. But we will go back out to staff as we continue this process. But right now, our charge is to, now that we have these 11 targets in a draft form, we have to develop measurable strategies within and underneath these targets. So we have our indicators of success. We now have 11 targets underneath those indicators of success. And now we must work with staff to develop measurable targets within each of the departments. That's where we are in the next step of the process. Our goal is to have this strategic plan in place for our opening day in August coming up. It's hard to think of the next school year already. So that's where we are with our strategic plan. It truly is guiding our mission here within the school district. Our April board meeting, I'm going to recommend to the board that we move from April 1st to April 15th. Although that is our spring break, we will be here, but we have some conflicts with board members in terms of that April 1st date. So I'm going to recommend and ask if there are any conflicts from the board level with an April 15th amendment date. And we can work on that through the next 6 weeks. But right now, if you would kindly target April 15th. And also within that meeting, I'll be requesting closed session at the conclusion of that April 15th meeting for my evaluation. And we will be sending you information regarding that process. April is the month where the board is responsible for evaluating me. So I will be sending you last year's evaluation as well as my performance relative to the indicators of success of this organization, and be looking for constructive feedback on how I can improve as your superintendent. That's all I have right now. Any questions, comments?
I just had a quick question.
fine, go ahead.
What's the status of that third grade
It's a very good question. The question is, what's the status of the third grade reading proficiency bill? It is still alive, okay? They've had a hearing, multiple hearings on this. I met with Senator Walker about 3 weeks ago down in Lansing. There is still discussion, but right now the budget is the priority. So it is still in the hopper, but it has not been presented to the floor yet. So we are sharing every bit of research, input we can. I just spoke with Representative McMaster 2 weeks ago, and he informed me that he does not support that bill. And once again, our position on this is research-based, that retention is not a sound professional research-based practice for reading proficiency. Strong interventions. What we're trying to encourage early. And obviously the Read Aloud program and what we're trying to do with our Great Start Readiness Preschool, all of our early childhood initiatives, that's where we're trying to focus on financial support for increasing interventions for our children. So that's our position as an organization and as a region. It's a great question. Thank you. Any other questions?
First action item is a resolution to extend supervisor contracts.
We have a list before you, and we don't have any issues, any up for renewal.
These are our directors, assistant principal at the Career Tech Center, 2 of them, special education directors, both in center-based programs and out in the service area, as well as our general education director. We're very, very fortunate to have these leaders on our team, and we recommend approval for another year contract for them. And that'll be 1-year contract to 2015.
I make a motion?
Thank you, sir.
Second.
Thank you, Jen. Discussion? Go ahead.
Berge.
Yes.
Shear.
Yes.
Warren.
Yes.
And Fisher.
Yes. Resolution to renew car lease.
Yes, we received one bid, and that was from Fox Grand Traverse for a 2-year lease on a Ford Fusion.
Okay, you recommending that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Move approval of the bid from Fox for the 2-year lease.
Discussion on the motion? Go ahead.
Berge.
Yes.
Shear.
Yep.
Warren.
Yes.
And Fisher.
Yep. Resolution to approve CNC lease agreement.
This is what we discussed in the previous 2 months, dating back to our work with local manufacturers, also with our programs over at the Career Tech Center dealing with manufacturing. This is our leadership support in trying to partner with our business partners and also create more opportunities for students within the career of manufacturing. There are jobs out there in the region right now, statewide, and this piece of equipment is the latest state-of-the-art piece of equipment, and we are recommending that we engage in a 5-year lease.
I so move.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion and support. Further discussion? Go ahead.
Berge.
Yes.
Shear.
Yes.
Warren.
Yes.
And Fisher.
Yes. We're at that point in the agenda calling for public comment. There may be one or more among you who choose to address the board. I would ask that you, if you want, we have a podium, okay. Step to the podium and please identify yourself and make way for those that are in the back so that they can get there.
We have public comment cards filled out. Did you want those, or?
Sure.
Okay, let me just pass them down. I think some other folks have some too. Thank you. Do you want to call out the names, or do you want us to just go?
Are you Sandy?
I'm not Sandy. Sandy.
I really don't care who goes first, so suit yourself.
Go ahead. Do you
can't get through, so you want me to hear me?
Barely.
Okay.
His ears are old, so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming tonight.
I'm a very proud employee of TBA. I've had many years of great experiences here and working with very, very precious students who give so much to me, more than I can give to them. With the special help, with the special help that I can give them, I see that they lift up and they are on their way to their journey. And every person here is impacted by the world, and I believe that they are just as much in their mysterious ways. And I work for special ed. I'm an occupational therapist. I have worked many years with many different populations, and recently my years have been with the SXI population, the severely multiply impaired, and I still find that they give a lot to me, as much as I can give to them. I just wanted you to know that how grateful I am and how I love my job. And I also love working with the staff here, all among you. These are the most wonderful staff that you could ever have. Their dedication and passion and their professionalism is beyond anything I've ever seen, and encountered. I'm very lucky. I work with other teams, TBA, that serve a lot of different situations, like elementary schools, and I've worked in the parochial schools. I've seen all their staff, special ed staff, handle that. The teams handle that so well. They have very positive support, and I've even worked with parents that have been a great foundation to their children, that we work as a team together. And I think that's so important, to have those parents involved, and especially with vulnerable and fragile situations that I have with seeing kids with homebound, even with our services with the homebound. I just wish that I really know that you know that you're proud of all your educators and your supporters here. But and I want you guys to lift us up and constantly help us through these challenges that we have. Please think about this and consider opening up and be more considerate on the importance that we have here, the situation we have here, about coming together. Even though we are such a diverse family, we in our approaches, we still have this common goal, and to be the best. And I know you want that. You want us to be the best. And we need your leadership to help us, to lift us up, to be the best, as we are here with our challenges that we hear you talk about even at your board meetings, all these challenges. We can sustain and continue to grow with enthusiasm when we have you lifting us up and our families, and to help us financially, help us with our securities and health issues, and speaking highly of us, as you already do speak highly of us. I thank you for that so much. Please understand that you are the foundation, and that we need you, and that you're looking out for us. We need to know that you are, and that you support us. This can be stamped for all the public to see, and especially Michigan, how strong we are as a body of support, working together with our leader. When we can settle our contract together with happiness very soon. And then we can keep on trucking and hoping and support the future educators that we have, our contributors and achievers and leaders of the world in our 5-county area community. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
I'll go next.
Okay.
My name is Margie Peacock, and I've been a TBAISD teacher consultant for almost 7 years, and I have to say it's a little bit warm in here. So if my face is red, that's why. Like most adult learners, when I completed my degree, I knew what I wanted to do, and teaching is my second degree. In my case, I wanted to work with children, hoping to make a difference, and also become a TBAISD employee. That was my goal. This room is filled with people dedicated to doing what's best for children, so you understand my desire to teach. The TBAISD part is the result of working with Linda Key, Patty Corning, Gary Warden, and other TBA staff while completing my student teaching requirements several years ago. Based on my experiences with these dynamic professionals, I knew something great was happening at TBAISD, and I wanted to be part of the team. Well, here I am. I made it and quite happy about it too. The TBA staff I met years ago is like the many I'm fortunate to know and work with today. The most dedicated, intelligent group of professionals I've ever worked with, ever. If you haven't already, I encourage you to spend time with us, your TBA itinerant staff. Like me, I think you too will discover tireless, highly qualified professionals who are very deserving of a fair and equitable contract. Thank you for your time, and thank you for the opportunity to share my thoughts. And finally, thank you for making this a safe place to share our thoughts.
Thank you.
Could I go next? I'm Kendra King. I am a speech-language pathologist here at TBAISD, and as a divorced mom of a 5-year-old autistic son, I am disheartened, and I find it discriminatory and unfair and frankly disappointing that my son and I are not deemed by TBAISD to be a family under our medical insurance policy, and that we are required to share a greater financial burden than families of 3, 4, 5, and greater. It's frankly very unfair, and honestly, I'm shocked that we're still here debating this, and that this issue hasn't been resolved, and that you continue to choose a policy of unfairness and frankly discrimination against single parents. I also would like to add that to choose to not work with us comes with a financial price tag in the form of litigation. To give us the modest things that we're asking for also comes with a financial price tag. To not work with us also comes with a price tag in our morale. It demoralizes us. It does not create unity. It creates division. It does not create trust. It creates distrust. It does not create a feeling of respect. It creates a feeling that we are disrespected and not valued. It doesn't make it feel like we are one. It feels like it's you against us. If you want a staff to go out and represent you that feels demoralized, then continue to not work with us. Continue to not compromise and come together and give us a contract that's fair.
I was going to say something at the end. Is there anyone else who wants to speak before I speak? Anyone? Speak. Scotty? Way down there? Yeah, sure.
sorry.
Let me just put myself down. I'm going to try to do this and not choke up. I choke up just like my grandmother when I talk to people. Good evening. My name is Scotty Harper. I've been attending the board meetings for the last year, as all of you know. I started doing it when we got our first contract proposal. I couldn't understand what brought us to the point of that first proposal. During this year, I have heard many things, how much our organization values its employees and how hard the employees are working for the organizations. I've heard jokes about the fund balance and sat through the discussion about making changes to the millage amount assessed against all property owners in this region, myself being one of those property owners. I listened when it was stated that the administration was offering a 1.5% salary increase combined with a step increase that translated into a 4% increase, and that our superintendent could not understand why employees were not happy with this proposal. But that scenario only applies to about 60% of TBA employees. The other 40% won't get a step increase this year, and about 20 of us will never get another step increase. My last step increase came in 2008. During the years since then, the adjustments made to the salary scale have fallen well short of the increases in cost of living, not to mention the changes that the state of Michigan has put into place that have affected my salary. Many of the 50-plus people who no longer receive step increases are within their last 3 years of retirement. The fact that we are this far through the school year without a signed contract will have a direct impact on their pension for the rest of their lives. Not a nice way to reward employees for years of loyal service. TBA is in a unique position of actually being able to put their money where their mouth is, as the saying goes. Our governor has proposed increased funding for education for our districts, even though the funding for TBA itself has not gone up. Along with that, significant monies for early childhood programs that Mike just talked about. And he has recommended caps for insurance costs for our districts. Even the President of the United States has urged employers to increase wages where possible for the economic recovery of the nation. I funded my college education working as a bookkeeper, and I put 2 sons through college as a single parent, so I understand the importance of proper budgeting and the geometric effect of costs going forward. But I also understand the significance of an organization that managed to add to its fund balance even when its revenue stream was at its lowest. TBA is the steward of money assessed from taxpayers. That money was given to the organization for the purpose of supporting educational programs and the people that administer them. We don't want to be the kid on the playground with all the toys who won't share. Please take steps to set a healthy standard for our fund balance, allow us to aggregate insurance costs for all employees, and truly take care of the employees here who work diligently every day to make TBAISD the best educational organization in the world. Thank you for your time.
I don't know if anyone else wants to sneak in. There's not a lot of room, but I'm hoping people
There's room up front here.
Yeah, if anybody wants to come and make another row.
Yeah, there's plenty of room.
We're happy to move it.
Julie, I have an Elizabeth
Oh, I'm sorry. Is
Medellin.
Elizabeth here? Elizabeth Madalena?
She has her baby with her. I don't know.
She's got her. We can wait for her. She's out here. Yeah, that's fine.
There are a lot of people.
Yeah, let's have,
We can have another row. They should be able to.
Can we? Would you mind if we had some of those folks come in and create another row here?
That'd be great.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm
Come on
fine.
in.
Whatever
Okay,
you want to do.
thank you.
Who knows what to do with that?
My name is Elizabeth Madalena. I'm speaking on behalf of all the school psychologists. We just wanted to reiterate the letter that we sent out June 6th, which talks about all of the inequity that we feel and that we're saddened by the process and the fact finding that we haven't made any progress. Thank you.
Thank you.
have anybody else with a comment?
I have no more cards, except your own.
You can spend.
I think we don't have to have a card filled out.
Correct.
Is that correct?
You do not.
Could I say something?
My name is Amy Mader, and I've been employed for 30 years with TBA. And as a matter of fact, I'm very proud of it, and maybe even prouder of the fact that I'm a product of TBA. I guess I'm just asking you guys to take in consideration to think outside the box and maybe not be so black and white. I'm talking for the parapros, the support staff here. 1.5 equals $5 a week in a raise for us. I'd like you to seriously understand and remember that many of us are very much hurting over the insurance cap. Issue is huge. I'm a two-person, my husband and I. And for the past 2 years, 2.5, I've been paying substantially more for the insurance. In the past, we've never made a lot of money, and that's okay because we're not in it for the money, man. We're in it for reasons that everyone in this room get and understand. These students make our hearts sing, and we make the decision that money isn't everything. We have a budget, we can make it work. But when the state comes in and makes changes, I realize you guys had nothing to do with that. But when my insurance has gone up thousands of dollars, it takes us 2.5 months just to pay for the insurance. And it's my understanding that it's this board that helps select the insurance for us. So I guess I'm just asking that you could keep that in mind, please, and know that we need to be able to get back onto our budget because we're struggling big time trying to get by, and it's mainly the insurance. Insurance has always been our pay. The pay has never been the greatest, but the insurance, the benefits were huge, and we got that. And I would just like you to please keep that in mind, that we need to be able to afford the insurance. And I realize at the state level, had nothing to do with you guys. But 3 years ago, you could afford to pay the wages and a lot more of our insurance. And so if you could do it then, I'm in hopes that you can do it now, that you could increase our wages so that we can at least be where we were 3 years ago. When you only make $15,000 a year and you have to work 2.5 months just for this insurance, I'm fearful you're going to lose a lot of good members, a lot of good people that love their job, but it's reaching a point where we're going to have to take a look at the whole big picture because how many times can you put off paying people? So.
Mary Jocelyn.
It's been kind of a cold and unyielding winter, hasn't it? Agree with me? It's been pretty hard out there. And I see a similarity in where we are together as an organization with this contract.
Would you please identify yourself?
Mary Jocelyn.
Thank you, Mary.
I'm a school social worker. And it feels almost like the winter out there. We just keep getting up every day and we do our jobs, but it doesn't feel like there is a flexibility in this negotiation. I hear that the latest possible dates are chosen for meetings. All I can think of is why would that be? Is it a genuine effort to work with us, or is it some other reason? I can only listen to the words, but then I look at the actions. We are all about relationships. Every one of us is here because we value our children. I don't know if Connie's here, but Connie Gallegos and I have worked with a group of Asperger's students for almost 8.5 years. Their parents sometimes were fearful, sometimes hostile, sometimes angry. We just kept working, and we've made great headway. Their kids are phenomenal, and they gave them to us to work with, and we have, no matter what was going on in our lives, no matter what was going on between our organization and us, we showed up. We love those kids. They mean a lot to us. Our colleagues, holy cow! I worked in Arnold Lindstrom. My office was where Julie Rittenhouse was, just before they closed it down. I've had colleague relationships that were good. I've had colleague relationships that were not so good. these relationships are priceless. I think people show up every day because they know, even if they're sick sometimes, they're going to be letting their teams down. They might not be able to reschedule, especially with these snow days. It's been terrible. We have deadlines. We know those those deadlines are not imposed by you guys. It's the state. They're unyielding. There's a lot of unyielding right now, and I think relationships have to be fluid. They have to be fed. There has to be an element of trust. We work really hard on our relationships, and we disagree. Teams disagree. You hear about it, I'm sure, and we work it out. That's what I'd like this process to dive into. I'd like it to move more about building the relationships and showing that you really do believe we have value. We know we have value. I would rather be at a nursing home with my mother-in-law with the hospice people today, but I'm here because this is important to me. It's important to everybody here. So I guess I want that acknowledgement. I want you to remember that we're people. We're not a resource. We're people, and we're impacting your product, your consumers, and we care. We really do care.
Is there anyone else? Okay, I guess I'll have the final word. So I'm Julie Rittenhouse, if you don't know me. I am a school social worker. I am the president of the TBA Education Association. I'm part of the negotiation committee and our leadership team as well. So I'm probably going to reiterate a lot of what's already been said here, but here we go. So first, I really want to say really how wonderful it is to work with and represent such dedicated, caring, compassionate, competent educators. These professional educators make TBA what it is by providing exemplary service to kids, families, and school districts daily. We are an amazingly diverse family with many talents. We are the face of TBAISD. And so on behalf of these educators that are here, I'm here to speak. Over a year ago, we began the negotiations process, first by suggesting expedited bargaining, an attempt to limit the issues and finish quickly. We felt this would be best for our members and best for the organization. When it became clear that that was not an option, we moved ahead diligently working on their behalf. Each time we came to the negotiating table, we were hopeful for a productive collaboration and hopeful that a fair contract could prevail. But despite our efforts to be creative and collaborative, we could not make headway alone. And so we moved to mediation, and then with member support, we moved to fact-finding. Throughout this process, we have communicated to our members regularly with honesty and openness, striving to represent their wishes and working for what is fair and reasonable. Despite all this time and effort, we are still without a contract. The current situation is disheartening and divisive for all parties involved. Over this year, I have on several occasions talked with Mike Hill and Carol Greilich about my desire to collaborate and work on improving the climate here at TBA. However, it is difficult to work on the climate without a contract in place. The impacts of working without a contract are several. First, it distracts us from the focus on the important work that we do in helping kids and families. Second, it creates a wedge between a few groups that should be functioning collectively, namely the administration, the teachers, and the itinerant staff. Third, it creates a climate that is pervasive with feelings of being undervalued and underappreciated. There is no doubt, given the information gathered through the fact-finding process, that TBA has the ability to and can compensate us according to our value, commensurate with other ISDs, commensurate with our educational level, and commensurate with the financial wealth and health of the TBA district. TBA can also aggregate the insurance with no cost to the district, as is being done in other places around the state. And we can also take care of our single parents, one of whom spoke tonight. TBA can choose to stand up and do the right thing for their employees. They can take care of their family.
I'll wait for Mary's phone. Sorry. Sorry. A little distracting.
How can it still be when it's day?
Okay, good job, Mary. All right.
That's all I need.
Okay. All right. I'm almost done. Finally, it seems that there is a link between our motivation to work hard, our productivity, and our mental health. When people feel valued and affirmed for their work, the climate improves and productivity rises. There are many ways to achieve feelings of affirmation. We have probably all received many thanks for what we do, and these accolades are very important. These meaningful moments motivate us to keep going despite the constant changes and the greater demands on our time. However, these individual affirmations and moments can only sustain us for a limited time and are only a small part of feeling valued. The larger organization, TBA as a whole, has a responsibility to show their dedication and appreciation to their employees by acting on behalf of all of them with actions that are truly sustaining by settling the contract in a fair manner. The decisions made by TBA not only impact the employee, their families, their well-being, they also impact the community as a whole. In a time when outside these walls, there are so many negative forces working against education, finding a safe haven within these walls where we are held in the highest esteem is imperative. Standing for us and next to us, by working with us to settle this contract now, we will go a long way to creating a better and stronger TBA family. Thanks.
I'll go around the table. Do any of the board members desire to respond at this point? I will. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate it, and I'm going to follow up on a couple of things that Julie just mentioned. We, as a board, are the ones that carry the responsibility for ultimately telling our negotiating team what we can pay and what we can't pay, what we can afford, what we can't afford. And I've noticed recently, and mainly in the media, that the focal point has been Mike and maybe other members of the bargaining team. The responsibility is the board's. It's not Mike, it's not any of the negotiating team, so you need to understand that. We are the ones that ultimately have the responsibility to you, to the students, to the taxpayers. We wear many, many hats. And I don't like the idea that we don't have a contract. I'll use one other word besides responsibility, is disheartened. And as a board, I think that we are disheartened too, that we don't have a contract. Make no mistake that if all we had to do was worry about the teachers, that perhaps things would be different. And I hesitate to go too far with my words, because a year or so ago when I did, I got emails of being accused of saying things I didn't think I ever said, but maybe I did. But we want a contract. We want a fair contract with you. I'm abundantly aware, as are the other board members, of the hits that your profession has taken with respect to medical insurance issues, retirement, and on it goes. I mean, we read the papers too, we get the data, I understand all of that. So my pledge to you is to try to get this thing done, but bear in mind that we have a responsibility to the taxpayers. We have a responsibility to all of you to try and keep you all here. I don't want to see a situation in 3 or 4 years where we have to lay off teachers because we did some things at this point that were not fiscally responsible. And I know that our fund balance is big right now, and we'll get our arms around that one of these days. But be glad that we have it, because there is some element, I think, of job security knowing that we have that fund balance, and that hopefully we'll never be in a position that we have to lay off teachers. That's just an awful situation to have. You are appreciated. Believe me, you are. And I hope that we can bring this matter to closure very soon. I appreciate the fact that you all showed up tonight. I'm sorry that we weren't prepared better, but we had this video camera stuff because we have to be more transparent. And so it's a step in the right direction. Again, thank you all for coming, and you're welcome to stay. We have a few more items from the staff that will be presented to the board, and then we go into closed session. So I'll leave it to you to decide whether you want to remain or leave at this time. Did we ignore someone as far as public comment? Mike thought there might be somebody else out there, and I don't want to shut the door on him. Okay, all right. Anyone else? Okay, again, thank you for coming, and wish us luck. We'll wish you luck and get this thing done. Okay. Request reports from board members. Special ed? Carol?
Good evening, everyone. There are 5 items, topics in my board report tonight. But I'd first like to talk to you a little bit about peer-to-peer supports. Deb Nelson, Director of Programs for Students with Autism. Erin Smythe, teacher in a self-contained classroom at West Senior High for students with autism. Amy Moore, TBAISD social worker, and Rachel Jones, TBAISD school psychologist, have worked with Dan Oberski, assistant principal, and Dan Rice, psychology teacher at West Senior High, to implement a peer-to-peer support program at West Senior High. The program formalizes a mentoring relationship between students with autism and their more typical peers. The program was featured in the Record Eagle on January 17th and in a forum article in the Record Eagle on February 14th. This year we have had students present in our intensive, student mentors in our intensive training for staff members on autism. Those students are volunteering their time during advisory period twice a week at West Senior High at this point. But the exciting news is that next year, 20 to 25 students at West Senior High will have an opportunity to earn elective credit by taking a high school course in peer-to-peer mentoring. So that's really, really very exciting, and all of the folks that I mentioned have worked very hard at that, and I'm very proud of that in the department. Additionally, for the last 4 years, students from Traverse City High School, the TCAPS alternative program, have been involved in a less formal mentor relationship with students in Billy Hepner's classroom at East Middle School. So those are all exciting. With regard to our students out on work experience, Mimi Spalding, transition coordinator, and John Sandula, transition teacher, have continued to build relationships with local businesses to provide students in TBAISD center programs with job experiences. And I'd like to highlight Britton Banner right now because they have been particularly flexible and collaborative in their work with us. And this year they have accepted students from our programs with programs for students with autism, and had them on with their work experience for as little as 30 minutes a day, because that was what was in the best interest of the student to allow them. That was all that the student could handle. We've seen students grow and become more successful when we move them slowly in those job placements, and it's very exciting to see those students grow and tolerate more time. So we're really grateful to Britton and all of our business partners, and to Mimi and John and all of the other support staff that work to support our kids. We also have a collaborative relationship with Denos Museum and the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, with goals of increasing access to the arts for students with disabilities, creating opportunities for students with disabilities to form meaningful relationships with peers, more typical peers around the arts, and to establish partnerships with multiple organizations to meet these goals. Our students are afforded opportunities to attend live performances and be guided through exhibits by docents at Denos, and also to follow up with opportunity to make art and to have experience with artists. Deb Nelson and Jill Mumford are two of our TBAISD Center directors who supervise classrooms that have taken advantage of that opportunity. We'll be working with Jason Dake, the Denos Curator for Education, to apply for additional grants with the Kennedy Center to continue and expand that program. So that also is pretty exciting. Then a couple of more items that are less fun to talk about than that. Karen West, our Director of Compliance, is working with two of our districts and our staff serving young children, birth to 3, to write corrective action plans to address some non-compliance related to timelines. And over the past couple of years, MDE has changed its guidance to be more in line with federal law, which has resulted in changes in our practice, and we're lagging a little bit behind in that. But our staff, Karen is new to us this year, but she has worked really well with the staff in a very collaborative way, and they're looking forward to working with her to develop plans. In January, I reported to you that there would be proposed changes to the administrative rules for special education, and those are out for public comment now through March 15th at 5 p.m. And it's really important, I think, for Michigan to move forward because those will bring us into line with IDEA. But there are parents and advocacy organizations that I think, largely based on this information, who are submitting comments in opposition. So I know that the leadership around the state is working to correct that perception. And that's what I have this month.
Thank you.
Just a couple brief statements. We experienced 8th grade visits today, and we'll experience them over the next 2 days. So we have had roughly, there was about 400 8th graders in the building today, tomorrow about 700. And we'll finish up with a total of about 14 to 1,500 8th graders coming through the building. It's quite a different experience for us folks. Probably a lot of you dealing with middle school age students know what I'm talking about, but the energy level in the building was just high today. So we'll get through that. We enjoy that, and we're expecting to see the Record Eagle tomorrow, who was going to do a story on the tours and the benefit of the tours for the students. Our Manufacturing Tech Academy, if you were around the mall over the last week, you probably noticed the construction pieces that have been out throughout the mall. They participated in that and received the Structural Ingenuity Award. I think they raised over 30,000 canned food items that will be given to Father Fred after those displays are taken down. But we're proud of the students and the staff involved in putting that together on the weekend and the award that they won for that. March 26th at the Denos Museum is our National Technical Honor Society induction. Tim Quinn will be the speaker, and you're all invited to attend that. 6 to 7 will be cake and refreshments, and then 7 will be the induction, and we are expecting to induct roughly about 80 students. So that's a pretty high number. We're proud of those students, and it should bring the enrollment up to 105 students total in the Technical Honor Society. Congratulations to Tiana McGee. Tiana goes to Mansalona and participates in our Allied Health program, and also to Aaron Geyer from TC West, who's in our Construction Trades program. They were honored at the Rotary Luncheon today, and both spoke at the luncheon and received honors for being the Rotary Student of the Week, so we're very proud of those students. And lastly, we had about 40 students participate in Junior Achievement Youth Summit that took place at the Haggerty Center last week, and what a great program was put together, working with industry partners and professionals out in the region, working with students on entrepreneurship and ideas. The Chamber was a big part of that and ponied up for iPads for the winning teams. And the winning team happened to have 2 students from our MTA program and our public safety program on that team for coming up with a different type of a concept for starting a business within this region and then taking that around the country. So that's what I have tonight. Thank you. Come over and meet the 8th graders tomorrow if you have time.
wanted to do a quick update on the MEP scores, and then perhaps at next month's or the following month's meeting, we'll get into that in depth. But as a region, the aggregate student performance increased in 4 of 5 areas for the MEP. It increased in math, in reading, in science, and in writing. It did go down in social studies. And again, just for this brief report to share that we've exceeded the state average as a region in reading, science, social studies, and writing. So we're not quite there in math yet, but we are making some progress, incremental progress, and certainly would want to give credit to local district staff as well as TBA staff for that improvement, and we're looking forward to more of that. But that's just a little snapshot on the meet. And Mike had asked that I spend a little time talking with the group about technology and the technology services department. And I know that last month we looked at a little data in terms of the work that the department is doing. And so I've got a quick presentation for you tonight on the tech services department. And I don't want to hit you ladies that are in front of the screen in the eyes, or Joe. So try to turn that on. And whoops, I don't want to power this off. And I will try to be mindful of the time when I do this as well. And obviously the first thing is it needs to work, so hopefully it does. All right. Looks like it's working. So just a little bit of information relative to the tech services department, and thank you very much for the approval of Grant Wright to join our tech services team. That's going to help us out a lot. He is part of that 12.5 full-time equivalent number that you see. And the typical duties of the tech services department are listed on the screen. Everything from break fix people's computers and software applications, other peripherals, to specific support at local school districts, which we'll talk about in a couple minutes, to support at events like this with Doug behind the camera and other members of the team doing the setup. We have a help desk here. If our staff members are having issues with their technology, then they have the opportunity to put in a service request or contact a member of the department to get help. And I think based on the diverse group that you've seen tonight, obviously everybody's not under this roof, and we're in multiple locations. So hopefully we're able to help people through the help desk. We have individuals that are looking at innovative technologies to try to make us better at what we do and try to make us more efficient. Obviously, we're doing work to support the network, what we have internally, as well as the intranet that we have between 14 of our 16 districts. And so our TBA staff members can log into our network if they're at any one of those sites. Programming. Making sure that our systems talk with each other, that we have connectors so the student information system can talk to the data system, etc. Not always a perfect process, but something that we're working on. State reporting and information systems, and then finally we have folks that are assigned to the website. Hopefully we have, and I think that we do, hopefully we have alignment between some of the things that Mike mentioned tonight relative to the strategic plan and the goals of our tech services department. Mike mentioned some strategic goals. I called them strategic indicators in the presentation that we've identified: student growth, quality service, operational excellence, and community engagement. If you are interested and you go to the TBAISD website under plans and reports, there's about a 30-page document that represents our technology plan. And I won't open that up now in terms of time, but the 4 goals of the technology plan you can see, and I think that there's pretty nice alignment with those things as far as our strategic indicators go. And I think as we move forward, we'll get some input on how we can have some concrete measures to make sure that we're continuing to move in that direction. I mentioned we have about 12 and a half people in our department, and I think that sort of begs the question, well, gosh, what do those people do? And they're quite busy. We process about 3,500 service requests a year as a department in terms of issues that we're trying to alleviate. It's nice to take a look at the things that those folks are working on. I know it's kind of small. I'm trying to blow it up so you can see it. But we're looking at about, as of about a week ago, about 4,100 devices, and this is something that does change on a daily basis. I think most of the folks that were in the room before, I'm sure everybody had one device. And if I had to bet, I'd say the great majority have at least two. If you throw the cell phone in there, probably three for our itinerant personnel. So tech services is doing a lot in terms of managing almost 1,200 desktops, 800 laptops, 600 tablets, 200 printers on the network, not all of them in our facilities. The telephones, the voicemail accounts, I won't read all the numbers because I know that you can read those. But we have 60 of the Apple TV units that we're using right now for this presentation. We have 107 servers, 27 of those are physical and 80 are virtual. We're actually adding some database servers to our email system right now. The number may be one or two higher. We've had some challenges with email this year, and so we're reworking some things. 60 access points so we can do wireless things in our buildings, and we really need more because the number of devices is going up. But this is just a little sample of what those individuals, who I think do such a great job, are working on as part of their responsibility. I mentioned the service ticket system, and this is just a little snapshot of what things look like in a typical school year. This is this year, starting in July and running to the month of February. And you can see the number of requests, number of tickets opened in red and in a particular month or particular time period. And then in orange, you can see the number of tickets that we've closed. So in July, we're in that range of having about 100 issues to deal with, and this is beyond regular maintenance. And then you can see that maybe there were 120 tickets that were put in, and we were able to close 110 of them. You can see September that number goes up dramatically, and that's the start of the school year, right? That's when all 600 strong are back in the office, and they realize that something's not just right, something isn't quite right, or maybe I forgot to get my laptop re-imaged or whatever it might be. And you can kind of see the trend throughout the year. Again, about 3,500 requests typically a year. We do bring in some part-time assistants during the month of September to try to deal with that. We have a couple retirees we have one retiree that we bring back, and then another person to try and deal with that. But again, a little bit of a picture of what happens in tech services internal. Now let's talk externally, services to our districts. Stephanie and I were trying to quantify the value of these services recently when we were working on the best practices initiative, and we really struggled. But whether it's content filter, which essentially, another way to think of a content filter is it's an information filter. So we make sure that people are not accidentally or perhaps purposefully accessing inappropriate content through the web or possibly even through email. That's what content filter is, and we're able to provide that for 12 of our districts. Firewall, which is a service that keeps people that we don't want in our network out of our network so that our data is safe and secure, and that's certainly really important with student data, but also with financial data and data relative to staff that we might have. Anti-spam, so hopefully you're not getting too much spam in your inbox. They're pretty creative, but we're able to handle that for 8 of our districts. We host Power School for 13 districts, and that is the student management system, and soon that will be almost everybody. And that's really exciting because then we can pull some pretty important data out of there and use that to make instructional and staffing decisions. Data Director is the data management system. Almost everybody is involved in using that. We have a new video server that we are piloting right now, and most people probably haven't heard of that. But one of the things that we want to do is we want to have safe and secure place for staff and for students to use technology that's not out on the web. So if we are creating instructional videos, blended learning kinds of opportunities for students, or if staff are collaborating in some type of an online digital format, rather than have that out on the internet. Every time I go to the gym and they take a new picture for me, they tell me they're going to put that out on the internet. You know, that's the joke. And I think, I don't think I want my face out there, especially not in the ratty gym clothes. But so this will, hopefully this will give us a secure environment to do that, so folks are more comfortable with their online presence. Project Interconnect is the intranet that connects 15 of the 16 big districts that we have together. We have a couple PSAs that have jumped on board. MIS is the Macomb Information System, which is the accounting system that multiple districts are using. We have a Tech Reps group, which is a group where our local technicians have the opportunity to work together and solve problems together. And I didn't put it on the screen, but we also have a users group of employees that are advising us in terms of how we're doing and giving us some ideas on some things that we can do a little better job with. Usually that has to do with just communicating changes and making it easier for people to get work done. And then, second to the last slide here, we are providing full technology services to the 3 districts that you see listed on the screen. And we've created a pretty neat formula where the district purchases an FTE from us, so they are paying for that service. And they're buying a percentage of time in areas surrounding leadership, planning, network level work, and then lower level work that we call break fix. And it really allows them to stretch their dollar because they leverage the people that we have that specialize in doing certain things. They don't have to employ those high-level people. And we're talking with 2 other districts. We're hoping that we're going to get the opportunity to do some more of this real soon. That kind of brings us to the last slide, and then if anybody has questions, I'll try to answer them. But with technology, because it changes so rapidly, we're in this constant PDCA cycle. That's a lean term for plan, do, check, and adjust. And we're constantly looking at that technology plan, reviewing it, revising it based on how technology changes. The second bullet is, this is my $5 word, I call it device proliferation. Kind of sounds like, you know, Khrushchev and the Russians and all that kind of stuff. But every day we have more people bringing their own devices into work, accessing our network, using our access points. We've got a 1,000 megabit connection right now, and typically we're using about 60% of that, but the other day we looked at it and we had taxed it to about 80%. And so, you know, these are things that we need to consider as we move forward, because the number one thing is we need to have functional technology for everybody. How do we expand our services? And we call that insourcing. If we can help a district do something at a cheaper rate, more efficiently, and then, you know, the folks that they employ can handle other things for them, we think that's a good thing. So we're looking to expand that. Some of the things that have been discussed and are in, you know, the infancy would include this regional help desk idea. I think that there could be some additional efficiencies with that, perhaps some more people involved at that level. And then there's some neat things that are happening at the state level with the 22I project. We're part of the Intra-Michigan Regional, and it should be Technology Leadership Consortium. I've got that acronym wrong. I apologize. We're working with several other ISDs, some of our neighboring ISDs as well as Macomb ISD, to try and share systems, whether it's student management, course management, data management, whether it's a business management system, and to do what they call right connectors so those systems can talk with each other so we can be a little bit more efficient. That's a very quick and probably somewhat rambling snapshot of what we're attempting to do. I'd answer any questions if everybody's still awake and go from there.
Nice. Awesome. Good job. Thank you.
Sorry.
Board communications. We need a motion, please, to enter into closed session under Section 8C of the Open Meetings Act.
I'll second.
Discussion, go ahead.
Berge? Sure. Warren? Fisher?
Thank you all for coming. We are back in open session, and there being no further business before this board, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.